Good evening, viewers and listeners. We are live, and welcome to the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show, partnered with Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated. I am here with my esteemed panel of talent. I am your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, here with my panel, starting with Senior Scout, the twin, Lorenz Lineweaver from across the pond. Also, we have Scout Coordinator, Alec Polito in the building. And then, of course, we got the Wonder Boy, Hunter Pitcock, who gets all scoops when it comes to information that you probably wouldn't. Hunter will find some things out. Of course, we just survived rivalry week, and we're getting into championship week now. And then after championship week, we have our bowl season. So everything's winding down according to plan. And as things start to wind down, we start to wind up. You know, it'll be our time here at the NFL Draft Bible to start. I mean, we've already been heavy scouting, and the scouting will just go into overdrive. And then, of course, you'll have all the games that we will be attending as far as all-star game for a lot of these college players. This is when you can really make some money. You can really make some ground up, according to the NFL Draft. And this is what we do, and this is what we're good at. But before we get any further, we get into that season, I'm going to start it off by talking to my guy, Hunter. What's going on today?
Oh, man. Apparently there was a black hat memo. Only half of us picked up on it, but that's all good. Like you said, we're in the home stretch, if you will, of college football, which is super exciting as a fan. But as a member of the show, it's a little sad because we're winding down here, too. We're in our final stretch, too. So I got to enjoy these moments while it lasts.
That's right. I feel the same way. My man, Slick Alec Polito, talk to me, man. What you got to say in your opening statement?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to talk about these games today. First of all, so much to unpack playoff wise. So these games will directly affect the playoffs. But no, it's I'm greatly appreciative to be here. I'm excited to talk football.
Me too, man. Me too. I am sad to see the season go, but I'm also happy to see what's going to come with this NFL draft, and we're going to see how many big movers and shakers we got, and we'll be at the forefront of it, informed as well. And then, last but not least, across the pond, we got Lorenz Lineweaver. We call him the twin. What's going on, Lorenz? Talk to us, man.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I'm anxious. I'm giddy because my guy Kellen, or our guy Kellen, is competing for a national championship today. We'll be tweeting out that link after the show. Exciting stuff in the club football scene. But also about these games, I mean, it's a massive lineup, as you would expect. Conference championship week. We had a fun Pac-12 championship as well last night. And
was it fun?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's one way to describe it.
I was gonna say it was like kind of an upset, but that wasn't really the right words. I was scrambling for words in my brain. That's what popped out. Not really an upset, but as me, I'm apparently the number one Oregon hater on this panel. It was fun for me, I guess. So, absolutely, I'm excited to get into it. These games are massive, especially one down south that I got my eye on. Can't wait to talk about it. Appreciate the people in the chat block. Letters still going strong, you already know. And yeah, let's do it.
My man Tom Goodhines, thank you for tuning in. Man, I can tell you, does anybody live a better life than Tom Goodhines, man? You know, I've seen some of his pictures. He's on location. You know, it's nice, sunny, palm trees. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. What's going on, T. Goody, and all of, like Loren said, all of our folks in the chat room. Thank you, guys. We can't do it without you. And we're here to educate you and entertain you, and we're about to start it off right now. But we always start it off with the helmet stickers for the week. And I'm going to start off with you, Alex Slick Polito. Talk to me, man. Who gets your helmet sticker for the week?
Yeah, well, first, we just talked about Tom Goodhines. If you want to know a fun fact about Tom Goodhines, he knows basically the score of every single Arena Football League game that's ever played. I've quizzed him, and I've never stumped him. So if you want to have fun with Tom Goodhines, ask him basically score, player, coach, whatever. Doesn't matter of any Arena Football League team. He's got it for you. But I'm going to go with Bailey Zapp here, who went for Western Kentucky University. Didn't get the win, did have 2 interceptions, but 36 of 59, 577 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's going to get some helmet stickers for this one.
Ain't no doubt about it, man. This is the time of year where you can really make some hay, or you really can get on the board and open some eyes, and this is when you can make that money and people can start to realize who you are and see your talent move coming through. I'm coming to you, Lorenz. Talk to me, man. What is who gets your helmet sticker for this week?
Yeah, I just alluded to the fun Pac-12 championship game in my eyes, and it was really 38-10. Utah was able to win it over Oregon. They're out in Las Vegas, and it was really this Utah offensive line for second time in a row facing this Oregon team for second time in and that's in 3 weeks. I guess 15 days, 14 days. Doesn't really matter. Enforcing their will on this Oregon defensive front, on that defensive line, and really controlling the clock with a strong defense as well on their part, but it aren't the flashy passing numbers, nothing like that. It's that Utah offensive line that sets the tone. This is a team, if they were still in playoff contention, I think this is a team that nobody would want to face if we would have the expanded playoff format. I don't think anyone would want to play Utah, but this offensive line has really figured it out this year. A couple of draft notable guys are Nick Ford and Bam Olusini. Both these guys have really figured it out with this offensive line, and they're all getting a helmet sticker for this performance, but also the performance a couple weeks ago against Oregon. Really a great stretch here, knocking the Ducks off twice.
Wow, and I got to come to you, Wonder Boy, my man, Hunter Pitcock. Give us your helmet for the week.
Yeah, well, it's pretty hard not to give another Utah Ute helmet sticker, so I'm going to go offense as well. But go Britton Covey, the wide receiver. He had a really good day in the air, going 5 catches, 72 yards. But also, he's a really good return specialist as well. They didn't really want to kick to him very often, Oregon, but he still was able to get 38-yard return as well. So definitely getting it done in multiple facets of the game. And apparently, he was an a cappella singer in high school. And he's been with Utah since 2015. He's kind of the old man of the team, if you will. He is Mormon, so he had like a 2-year mission, if you will, and then returned to the team. But this is, like Lorenz said, a team that's been inspired. They start off the season 1-2. Of course, they had some tragic deaths, unfortunately, with the program, with Ty Jordan, Aaron Lowe as well. Rest in peace to them. But they've been inspired ever since. And like Lorenz said, if we were ever get that opportunity to see a 12-team playoff, Utah would be a dangerous team. They're one of the hottest teams in college football, and maybe you're going to be a Rose Bowl team this year too, after just pouncing Oregon 2 times in a row.
Yeah, you want to stay away from those squads, especially when, like you say, when they catch fire like that. And you're right, Utah is definitely a team to watch out for. It's almost like Utah, past 10 to 15 years have just really come out of nowhere to me. You would always think BYU when you're talking about the Mountain West, in the mountain areas, Colorado, those. No, it's a Utah thing, man. And Utah has really shown out. And you're right. You want to stay away from those squads as they gain steam coming to the end of the year. But thank you guys for those helmet stickers. So now let's get into your previews for this weekend. This is the championship weekend. This is where do or die. Either you improve your position, possibly to get into the bowl championship playoff, and there's a lot of implications. Start with you, Slick Polito. We have the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Challenge. Oklahoma State at 12 is going to be a shotgun kickoff. Oklahoma State is a -6.5 point favorite. What's going on? Let's hear your preview for this game.
Yeah, this is a big game right here because technically both of these teams have a shot at the playoff. Now, I don't think Baylor's would have to be a lot of teams losing, a lot of things happening, and the committee would also have to be welcomed to jumping them over a couple teams because of this win. But this game has a lot of implications, mostly because of Oklahoma State, who sits at number 5 and has a clear path to the college football playoff with Alabama playing Georgia this week. We'll get into that game later, but if Georgia beats Alabama, there is a clear path for Oklahoma State to jump into that top 4. Now they have to win this game, and Baylor's no joke of a team, number 9 in the nation. Both teams technically have that shot, really more so for Oklahoma. Can Oklahoma put up points against one of the most consistent defenses in college football? They have yet to give up 30 points in a game this season, and this Oklahoma State offense is not the most prolific of offenses. Now, it's certainly not a bad offense, but they're not the thing that this team relies on. It's really more their defense. So this is going to be a defensive battle through and through. Can they score points and win this game? When Baylor has the ball, look for Jerry Bohannon, who has been a phenomenal player for them this year. Really is, as a runner and a passer, he's been a solid spot for them that has really kept this offense moving. Can he get the ball out to R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton, who are going to be having to go against some pretty tough guys in that secondary? Colby Harville-Peel, Jarek Bernard-Converse. These are two guys who have had some good games this season, and Colby Harville-Peel has had a really good season overall, that they're going to have to get past these guys in order to score points on this offense. Can Abram Smith play and get going against Malcolm Rodriguez, who we've talked about on the show before? Phenomenal middle linebacker for them, one of the leaders in the Big 12 in tackles. Can Abram Smith, who another phenomenal story, switching over from linebacker to running back this year, can he get going in the run game for them? And, the big thing here is, can Jerry Bohannon be protected? Connor Galvin, Xavier Newman-Johnson, can they keep this pocket clean against Brock Martin and Israel Antwine? I don't. This is a tough matchup for both of them, and they're going to have to keep the pocket clean for Jerry Bohannon so he can keep getting the ball out. When Oklahoma State has the ball, you got Spencer Sanders at quarterback, who has been there, was their quarterback last year. He has had more of a revelation at the position. Last year was a little erratic. This year's still a little erratic, but has really come into his role for that offense. Can they put up points with Spencer Sanders, not Rattler, getting the ball out to Tay Martin, Brennan Presley, who are going to be going against some really tough guys in that secondary? Kalen Barnes, you got Jalen Pitre and Christian Morgan. He's going to have to get the ball out, get to them, and they're going to have to get open against a really tough secondary here. You got Jalen Warren he's going to have to get the ball going. That's the running back there, because they've got a really good run defense in Terrell Bernard, Jalen Pitre, and the other guys at the second level, that it's just not easy to get out and make explosive plays. And then, can Josh Sills stop Siaka Aki? It's a big question. I think that advantage to Siaka Aki there, and I think that that's going to be tough for the Oklahoma State offense with disruption in the backfield. I still think Oklahoma State wins this game. I like the talent that they've got there. I think that they're a little bit more talented football team, and I think that they're less reliant on just their defense, whereas I do like this Baylor offense, but I do think that their defense is what's been keeping them up there. I think that Oklahoma State wins this game. That being said, if you're a betting man, go for Baylor, because I'm usually very wrong on these shows. But I think Oklahoma State wins this, and I do think that they end up in a playoff spot, and they're the team that gets to lose to Georgia week 1 of the playoffs.
Well, I can tell you this, man. Thank you for that preview. Usually when you think of a college team from Texas and a college team from Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, you would think it would be Oklahoma against Texas, but no, it is Baylor. Oklahoma State is, maybe it's the changing of the guard, especially with them jettison the Big 12 going to the SEC. This is something that you're probably going to see moving forward quite a bit with Baylor and Oklahoma State, pretty much running the conference once the other two have jumped ship. So thank you for that, Alex. So let's get into the next preview we have. I'm coming to my guy, Hunter Wonderboy Pitcoff. We got Utah State against San Diego State on the West Coast here. sunny living. 3 p.m. Fox Network. San Diego State is a 6.5-point favorite. Let's get into this, Hunter. Talk to us about this Mountain West Championship game.
Yeah, well, this will be like one of the rare opportunities when a West Coast game won't be at 10 o'clock p.m. on Eastern time. So hopefully East Coast people can watch this game too. It's going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park in L.A. That's where the Chargers were playing for a while. And that's where, unfortunately, San Diego State's played all season. They haven't been in San Diego since 2019 because their stadium's still being constructed on. So it's going to be basically a home game for them, if you will. The funny thing, too, apparently the winner of this game will get an auto berth to Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl on December 18th. I think that's the first bowl named after like a person. And of all people, I guess it's good to Jimmy Kimmel. Good for him, I guess. But looking at the game itself, the best player in this game, believe it or not, is probably the punter, Matt Ariza. This dude is an absolute phenom of a punter, averaging 51.5 yards per punt. If he keeps that up, that's going to be the best in FBS history. That's how electric. He also kicks for them as well. He kicks kickoffs. He does literally everything for this team. He's probably going to win the Ray Guy Award, unfortunately, over Jordan Stout from Penn State. He's good too. But Matt Ariza, this dude's a whole nother beast of a special teams player. But looking at the game itself, Utah State needs to strike early and often and kind of just get this really good San Diego State defense on their heels a little bit. Look for QB Logan Bonner for Utah State. He's had a good season, 32 touchdowns and just 10 interceptions. And San Diego State's really good against the run. So I think getting plays over the top, it's not going to be easy, but Utah State needs to kind of make this track meet and just make San Diego State uncomfortable. And then also, I'm kind of wondering who's going to play quarterback for the Aztecs here, because Jordan Brookshire, he came into the second half last week and brought this team back. They were actually losing, and they ended up winning that game in order to secure their spot into this Mountain West Championship game. Look for a running back, Greg Bell and Jesse Matthews, who's a wide receiver, to help out this offense a little bit. Give him some help, whoever's playing under center in this game.
All right. Yeah, let me talk to you, Lorenz. Anything you want to add to this game?
Yeah, I think San Diego State, they have a junior defensive lineman, Cameron Thomas, who's a former hockey player, actually, or he wanted to play hockey when he was a little kid. He's someone who I've heard is in the day two conversation at least. He's someone who's a long, strong kind of defender who, Hunter, you alluded to the run defense of the San Diego State team. I think he spearheads it with his ability to get off blocks. He's not the most athletic outside track kind of guy, but he's someone who's got really heavy hands, who can do a lot of things for you, shedding blocks, two-gapping, and doing things of that sort. And I think in certain schemes might even be a 3-4 defensive end, so play inside a little bit at the next level. He's going to be someone who teams are going to covet, and he's going to be interesting to have a look at in this one.
What do you want to add to that, Alec, with this game? And, I love the fact that a punter was the first person that the first preview that Hunter gave, and talk about how good the punter was. Special teams doesn't get enough love.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a special team specialist when it comes to scouting, but I have seen some of Matt Ariza, and it is phenomenal what he has been able to do there. I mean, what more could be at stake? You get a shot to play in the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
They get to meet him? Like, does he present the trophy?
You better get to meet him. Yeah.
You better be there.
Yeah. But, I think that this is look, San Diego State, not to take anything away from Utah State, but San Diego State has been a phenomenal team this year. And their way they've played football this year has been fun to watch. So I'm hoping to see them get that berth into a really good bowl game like the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. So I think that's the key talking points for this one is just, we talk about the college football playoff, but these kids are playing for something. Are important to them. And San Diego State deserves a lot of recognition for what they've been able to do this year.
I agree, man. They definitely have done a great job of turning the program around. Last I remember with them is when I don't know, you guys not have been around when Marshall Falk ran for them, and he was just a runner, coming out of that college from back in the day. But yes, San Diego, the Aztecs are back. So get into the next game. Shout out to Sam in the Sam Saratella in the chat, and also the boss man Rick watching us live here. Thank y'all for tuning in. And I can tell you, this is a great time, and look, they're going to be as busy as they've ever been with this draft season coming along. And thank y'all for tuning in. But our next preview is a big one here. It's the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game going against Alabama. And believe it or not, this may be the first time Alabama is the underdog. For CBS, Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite. This is one of the only games where you have a team that could lose and still be in the playoff, and that would be the Georgia Bulldogs. Talk to me about this game, Lorenz, if you would, sir.
Yeah, this is the one, man. Kirby Smart, this is why he was hired. Almost pulled it off a couple of years ago. It's not about. I mean, it is about winning a national championship. It is about bringing trophies back to Athens, Georgia. But the first thing you have to do in order to do that is beat Alabama, and this is, I think, the best chance that they've had ever since that memorable national championship. I think 2018 when Tua Tagovailoa wound up completing that deep ball to Devonta Smith, and they won it in overtime. But yeah, this is the one. I think Georgia, where football games are won. Let's have a look. Or football games are won in the trenches. So let's have a look at those trenches. And I think if you start off with the defensive line for Georgia, going off against the offensive line for Alabama, you're already looking at the key matchup because Alabama's offensive line has really struggled. We've seen it against Auburn, where these rushers for Auburn, really this entire defensive line, had a field day getting to Bryce Young early and often. Bryce Young did a great job keeping composure and still making plays, squeezing out that win at the end. But that's extremely worrying for Alabama because I don't see a 1-week fix in that. And especially because Georgia's defensive line is as good as they come. Multiple draft picks, multiple high draft picks on that defensive line. We talk about Jordan Davis. We talk about Trayvon Walker. Nolan Smith has taken a massive step as that speed rusher this year. Got Devontae Wyatt, who can get after the quarterbacks from the inside. 3 linebackers in Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, and Nakobe Dean, who blitz as well as anybody in the country. I mean, really, all 3 are great athletes, time it well, physical dudes. And it's really going to be worrying. And I think if Alabama is outmatched to the extent that they were against Auburn, they have no shot of even getting close to those 6.5, keeping it within a touchdown. I think at that point, Georgia might be run away with it, as crazy as that sounds. But because this Georgia second and third level of this defense are better than Auburn are, and especially this Georgia offense, I think is a little bit more capable than what we saw from Auburn with their backup quarterback in. So this Alabama defensive line, though, they can go toe-to-toe with this Georgia offensive line. They might even win that matchup slightly because I do think they got a lot of talent. You talk about Fedarian Mathis, Byron Young, Justin Ewigby on the inside, DJ Dale as well. But on the outside, you got guys like Will Anderson, Drew Sanders, number 15, whose name is escaping me, who are all superstars, all underclassmen. We'll talk about them plenty in the next couple draft cycles. But this defensive line, I'm expecting them to kind of win that matchup, which is going to be huge because this year Georgia, they've relied on that run game, quarterback run game with Stetson Bennett the fourth. The 4 running backs that they have, headlined by Zamir White and James Cook, the 2 seniors or upperclassmen for that group. So can they run the ball? Can they do that? Work some big plays off of play action? It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be big to see. George Pickens is back. He's going to see a heavy dose of Josh Joby, and I think Joby's someone who struggles against that speed. Now, does George Pickens have 100% of his speed? Going to be interesting to see. Can they get a chunk play down the field to their superstar receiver who they just got back off of ACL that he suffered in spring? A lot of interesting matchups. NFL players everywhere, really everywhere you go, whether it's the offensive, defensive side for both teams. I think it comes down to Alabama. They can't get beat as badly up front on the offensive line like they did against Auburn. And then Bryce Young has to have an incredible performance with his 2 wide receivers to win this game. But I think Georgia wins, and I think Georgia covers the 6.5.
I mean, I think Nick Saban, if he has a rabbit in his hat that he can pull out against his ex-coach, defensive coordinator, Kirby Smart, this is the week to pull it out. If you know something that everybody doesn't know and you can make a difference for your team to win this is it. Because if they lose, they won't be in that championship series tournament. I just look at, Georgia, it seems like everything is just pointing towards Georgia. They have, for honestly, the best roster. I want to say in the beginning of the year, I kind of dubbed it the equivalent of the Chicago Bears defense, the 85 Chicago Bears defense, as dominant as they are. And they have held up to that standard. And, I don't even know, man, at this point. But like you said, it has to be something that's going to slow. They're going to have to slow the game down. They're going to have to front Alabama to even have a shot at this game. I'm coming to you, Alec. What do you want to add to this? This is the most, I think, the most intriguing game of the day. Georgia, Alabama, deep ties, deep South. And this is the game everybody pointed to after about 3 or 4 games into the season. They said, "Oh, well, they don't play each other in the year, but you bet they're going to see the championship." This is the collision, what is it? The immovable object against the whatever it is called.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you talk about that rabbit in the hat potentially, and I think there's 2 ways that really Alabama can win this game. And first of all, Bryce Young's going to be challenged real early, really often in this game on the pass rush. I don't know if there's, Evan Neal is a phenomenal left tackle, but otherwise on this defense, it is going to be I guess a party in the backfield because there's going to be a ton of Georgia defenders affecting him every play. So I think the first thing is they're going to have to get him out and rolling a lot to try and get him out of the pocket because it is just going to be he's going to be moving around a lot today. And then, the next thing for me is Will Anderson, who I think is absolutely unblockable at the college level, should be playing on Sundays, honestly, at this point, but he's too young. You can't draft him. You got to wait till next year, but he should be playing on Sundays. I don't think that there's anyone in college football that can block him consistently. And if he's able to get himself into the backfield, multiple plays, get, turnover worthy plays, you can flip this game quick. That being said, this Georgia team is probably the best defense, one of the best defenses I've ever watched in terms of college football. This defense is so good. And I just don't, we've seen Alabama's offense struggle to get the ball moving when they can't block. And that's the problem that they're going to have in this game. I don't think that they can consistently block what Georgia has up front. I still think Georgia wins this game, but if Alabama is going to win this game, it's going to be on the laurels of Will Anderson and Bryce Young, their best players.
Well, I agree with you on Will Anderson and Bryce Young for sure, and it's going to be deeper than that. It's going to be Bryce Young's legs. He's going to have to really break the pocket, break contain, and get out on the edge and make some plays or even, get yards, and get down because these guys are fast on this Georgia defense. But it's going to be him and his legs making the difference in this game if they're going to have this at all. Think Denzel against the Crimson Tide, when he beat them. He used legs, he used his arm, they use quick play, quick game play, that kind of thing. Because that was the time when Alabama had a defense similar to this, very dominant. But the way you beat them is you keep them off rhythm, keep them guessing, and quarterback who's very mobile, quick game, and I think that's how you do it. Hunter, talk to me about this game. I'll add a little bit to this as well.
Well, to play devil's advocate a little here, maybe even the playing field, give Alabama some love. I know that Georgia's defense is phenomenal, but they have not played a guy even close to Bryce Young this season. This dude, he has a potentially be a number 1 pick in the draft. He's extremely talented, and they're going to have some trouble with him and game playing with him as they've had any quarterback they've faced. And it seems like Georgia's basically just been on cruise control this season. Their defense, I don't think they've allowed more than 14 points in a single game this year. That's how dominant they've been. To think that Alabama is only going to score 14, I just don't believe that. I think they're going to put up more than that. And I just want to see how Georgia reacts. Maybe Alabama gets some points quickly in the first quarter, first drive or two. They're going to put 10 or so points on the board. How does Georgia respond? They have not played from behind really at all this season. So I'm just curious to see. But if Alabama, they're definitely – I don't think they're as good as Georgia. So they're just going to have to play a very clean game. They are a team that gets penalized a lot. They're actually 118th in the country in penalties. So this is a team that, the refs love pulling the laundry out against the Roll Tide this season. And then the offensive line, while Evan Neal, like Alex said, is a phenomenal player, could be a top 5 pick in the draft this year, their offensive line has actually not been that great as an overall unit. They've allowed, look here, 35 sacks this year, and Georgia's gotten home 41 times this year, which is top 5 in the country. Bama's going to have to play probably an A-plus game in order to win this. But with Nick Saban there, it could happen. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, Nick Saban's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to chime in on this, I do think this Georgia, especially the secondary, we saw it against Tennessee where this Tennessee offense, it didn't really hit every big play, but there were some opportunities, especially on that first drive with usually Georgia has been excellent in these first drives so far this season, but there were some opportunities that they didn't hit on. Then it kind of went away from them after that first scripted part of the game plan for Tennessee. But this defense is unbeatable, especially if you got guys downfield like Jameson Williams, like John Mechie. I do think you have some capabilities to get some big plays. Thing is, can you protect for long enough? Can you keep Bryce Young clean to get that throw off? I agree. You have to do a lot of quick game. You have to throw some screens, get run game going, but out on the perimeter, right? Don't run it down the middle down the teeth of this defense. Really make these DBs, these corners tackle, which I don't doubt that they can do it, but you need to get the ball out quick, and then you need to be picking your shots. I've seen it plenty. Kentucky, they did a tremendous game with getting short completions, playing quick game, but when they wanted to take a shot, they would keep 8 guys in to protect, and Georgia would still get home. So that's the game within the game where Alabama's got to be smart when they take the shot, how they protect it. If they can do it, that's the way that's the way they're going to have a fighting chance, unless obviously this Georgia offense suffers from turnovers, things like that. But from this matchup perspective, Alabama offense versus Georgia defense, you got to play, like you said, Hunter, Alabama, they got to play near perfect game here to prevail against this defense.
It's kind of like, do you really feel that the Georgia quarterbacks are that superior? They're serviceable. Exactly, Hunter. Right. I'm with you. I think the Georgia quarterbacks are serviceable, and I think Nick Saban is going to confuse them. I'm very interested to see how this game is going to go. Speaking of quarterbacks, we're just talking about Bryce Young. We're going to have to do some research and maybe a little bit of a segment and next time talk about the NIL. We haven't talked about that, because I don't know how much information is out there, in cyberspace or just information in general about players, how much they made. Is there a way to find that out? How players did with this year of that NIL, who made money? Bryce Young, supposedly, by saying from Nick Young, potentially could have made $1 million. I want to know, is that true? Did that come to fruition? I want to know, what the players did, but I digress, but we'll keep this rolling. Something that just popped in my head thinking about that. But next game we got is the AAC championship game. We have Houston against the Cincinnati Bearcats, 4 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Cincinnati a 10.5 point favorite. Is there any kind of a chance that Houston has here? My man Slick Polito, talk to me. Give me your preview on this game, bro.
Yeah, this is a real interesting game because obviously the storyline going into this one is if Cincinnati wins, they are the first Group of 5 team to make the college football playoff since it's been a thing, I think, since 2014 or 2015. So, obviously huge for that part of college football. It's huge for Group of 5 teams to show that they actually can do it. But the interesting part about this is Houston is actually on an 11-game win streak. And they're now what is it, 21 in the country. They're fighting themselves to win this game, to get into a huge bowl game, which we talked about before. It is so crucial to these kids. It's so huge for them. They are fighting for something. It may not be as fun for us to, when it's not the college football playoff, but the bowl games are really impressive, and it's huge for their school and for these teams. But going into this game, their teams are combined 23 games in a row they've won. So this is a extremely both these teams are extremely battle tested at this point, and ready to go. I mean, when Cincinnati's got the ball, obviously Desmond Ridder is the first guy you think of, the quarterback for Cincinnati. He has some NFL aspirations. There are definitely going to be teams that are interested in him. Big arm, as it could probably throw the ball with the best of them, but accuracy is a major concern. But he does it at the college level pretty well. He hasn't had to go up against tremendous defensive talent yet, but he will have to in the college football playoff. We'll see if he holds up there. Another two players on this offense that really need to be talked about, Alec Pierce and Michael Young Jr. Alec Pierce has been phenomenal this year for Cincinnati, and someone who I know Lorenz loved in the preseason scouting. And from what I've seen of him, I've been really interested. They're going up against, I'm sure he's going to get a heavy dose of Damarian Williams for Houston, who that is a matchup if you're watching for, especially for Damarian Williams for scouts, that is huge for him. Can he show up and go against Alec Pierce and really hold his own? But Alec Pierce is a kid who has made it look easy for Desmond Ridder, getting open, and Ridder can get him the ball, and he's done well with that. Next is Jerome Ford, who is fourth in college football right now in touchdowns. He's been a grace for this offense, and he's going to go against Logan Hall and Derek Parrish, who have also been really good for this Houston defense, especially in the middle there. James Tunstall is going to have to keep the pocket clean against David Anina. James Tunstall's been really good for this Cincinnati team, and David Anina, I think it's Anina. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it's he has been really solid for Houston all season. Going into this game, he's been one of their defensive stars. Now, when Houston has the ball, Clayton Tune should be talked about more than what he is. Maybe not as a draft perspective, but in the last 8 games or something, he's got 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And then he had a stretch this season where he threw 170 straight passes without an interception. Just been not turning the ball over. And really, it's not like he hasn't been throwing the ball. He's been throwing the ball a ton. Nathaniel Dell against this is the matchup that Cincinnati needs to win, right? Sauce Gardner has won a lot of his matchups this year, but they're going to need this one. And I think that they will, because I believe that Sauce Gardner is a late day 1 / early day 2 pick, but it's going to depend on what your team needs. Really more of a physical corner. Depends on your team preferences on that, but he has just been phenomenal for Cincinnati. And then Ajay Sanders can affect this game immensely. Another guy who might be a potential first-round pick. I think he's more of a day 2 guy, but it's a guy who could scheme fit into a first-round himself into a first-round selection. But he has been so good for the Cincinnati team for the last 2 years and building this program, building this defense. I don't know if there's anyone on the Cincinnati offense that can stop him, or offensive line. Patrick Paul maybe, but I don't see anyone who can really stop him consistently. So he's going to, can Clayton Tune keep throwing the ball at a high rate with Myjai Sanders breathing down his neck? Alton McCaskill, can he get going against Darian Beavers? Darian Beavers is a linebacker for Cincinnati who has been really good this year. Can Alton McCaskill, the running back for Houston, can he get going against him? We'll see. And then, don't forget about Kobe Bryant as well for the Cincinnati team, who is, came back this year. Phenomenal player for them on that secondary. If you're throwing the ball around in that secondary, if you're playing from behind, which we assume that Houston will be, Kobe Bryant's no joke of a player either. I think Cincinnati wins this and locks it up. They're going to be in the college football playoff. And I think because Alabama probably loses in that one, or if we're predicting that, right, they probably don't have to play Georgia. And they have a much better shot against Michigan if Michigan takes, we'll talk about that game next, but if Michigan handles business today, they've got a much better shot at beating a Michigan team than they do against beating a Georgia team. So this is really huge for Cincinnati. If they lose this, we're probably talking about Notre Dame getting in. I don't, then it starts to get a little bit questionable as to who gets into this playoff, but maybe Ohio State gets back in. But yeah, I think Cincinnati wins this game.
Man, thank you for that preview. Now, Lorenz, do they have a shot at all? Any shot?
Houston, dude, Houston might have a problem just because this Cincinnati defense, I think, is one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, the stats back it up, but what they've been able to do on the recruiting, player development, and schematic side under head coach Luke Fickell has been absolutely unbelievable. As you said, Myjai Sanders, Darian Beaver, Sauce Gardner, those are sort of the standouts there at each level of this defense, but they got good depth. They got good football players everywhere, and they will be slowing this Houston attack down. I still think Houston's a better team than 21st in the country. They've had a really long win streak here for the last couple of games. I don't know why they've rated them this lowly. Only one loss on the season, if I'm not mistaken. I do think Houston has got a shot to keep this close, but it's just tough to score enough against the Cincinnati defense because I do think that offense eventually is going to put 24, maybe 30 points on the board against a decent Houston defense. But I think at the end of the day, the Cincinnati defense is just special. So that's going to be the deciding factor in this football game. If Houston can come out, though, don't put it past Dana Holgorsen and the crew there to throw together some kind of explosive game plan and shock the Bearcats coming out. I don't think this is an unwinnable game, but it is unlikely. They do got to play a really strong game. They do got to play their A game and win a couple matchups that maybe they weren't supposed to win on paper.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, it's difficult. But, have we seen Desmond Ridder rattle? Yes, we have. And if he gets rattled again, this game could be close. In Houston, once they get that momentum, they definitely can keep this thing rolling. And I'd be interested to see if that Cincinnati Bearcats are going to be able to get into this college football playoff. Next game we got up is the Big Ten Championship. In my opinion, the second most appealing game on the roster today. We got Michigan, a number 2 team in the nation, going against number 13, Iowa. At 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Michigan's an 11-point favorite. This is this is another one, where, if Iowa shows up, similar to Purdue. Purdue body, in the Big Ten. And, this is my opinion. Same thing with Iowa. I think Iowa can beat anybody as well. It looks like we got Hunter buffering up right now, but is there anything that you wanted to add before we get his preview on this, Lorenz?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan. First of all, I was pretty happy to see, obviously, to the disappointment of my friend and co-host Kellen to see them lose the game. But I mean, Ohio State lose the game, Michigan win it. Jim Harbaugh finally getting the monkey off his back. I think we saw how impressive this team is in the trenches. I mean, enforcing their will with the run game, with this offensive line, just moving bodies up and down the line of scrimmage, and then playing tough defense. These pass rushers, Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo, I think they are obviously the headliners, but Chris Hinton as well, number 15, former 5-star recruit out of Georgia, is someone who I love to watch every time I turn on that film. I mean, so this entire defensive line, they just do the little things right in terms of hand placement, leverage. Really well coached. I mean, incredibly well coached, and they've been this way for a long time down there at Michigan. But I think they've even got more raw talent in this season, and it's a special group. But Hunter, why don't you take it away?
Do we have him?
There you go, Hunter. You go ahead and take it away, Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Lorenzo said, this defensive line for Michigan has just been absolutely phenomenal this season. Aiden Hutchinson in particular, I don't know. He might be playing himself into the number one pick in the draft. We always talk about how great Kayvon Thibodeau is, but Aiden Hutchinson, he might even get an invite to New York this year. That's how great he's been for Michigan. And now they're playing in one of the biggest games that they've played in, of course, under Harbaugh's career, but one of the biggest games they've played in quite some time because they're going to be able to have that chance to control their own destiny and clinch a college football playoff spot. If I was going to somehow pull off this game, and look, they're a good football team, right? They were number 2 in the country at 1.2, and we were talking about them potentially as a team that can make a college football playoff push as well. They probably don't have that anymore, but they can definitely get a big bowl game if possible with a win. They need to make quarterback K. McNamara make turnovers. They need to make him uncomfortable. And the good thing for the Hawkeyes is that they've kind of been thieves, if you will. They're like Robin Hood. They steal from the rich and give to the poor. The poor being their offense, because Spencer Petras isn't that good, and this offense has not really been the main catalyst for this football team. Also, too, looking at Michigan, though, it's not going to be easy because they have a great offensive line. They don't really turn the ball over very much. So they're really going to have to get them out of their game. And I expect a whole lot of carries from Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum, the running backs. They've been phenomenal. 5 touchdowns last week for Haskins. He's playing his best football at the right time. I think this Michigan team's got a swagger to it that it hasn't had in years past. They know what's at stake. I'd be very shocked if they lose this game.
Wow. Yeah, I'd be very shocked as well. But, it's always like there's always a letdown, in a Jim Harbaugh season at the end of the year. Could this be the letdown? It's the truth. Go ahead and add to that, Polito. Talk to me, man. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, well, I like to talk about the outlook of this because I think these guys did a phenomenal job at breaking this game down. The outlook here, Michigan wins this game, which we're anticipating that they do. If they win this game, they're likely looking at a number 2 seed, probably playing either Cincinnati or Alabama. And I think that both of those matchups for them are decent matchups where we could see this Michigan team, a team that we thought probably not making the playoff because they're going to lose to Ohio State a couple weeks ago or last week. We talked about that. This team could go from that to one of the favorites to be playing in the actual national championship game just a month from now, a little over a month from now. So it is really impressive. I thought with the way they played against Ohio State, sure, there were some weaknesses on this Ohio State defense and they put up a lot of points. But I think the way they played against Ohio State was so impressive. And Aiden Hutchinson, wow. It's fun to watch what he's been able to do. Lorenzo and I discussed it a couple weeks ago, I think, on the podcast, but it is so impressive to watch what he has done so far. And I'll leave it at that because I think everything else has pretty much been covered.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Second most intriguing match of the day, Michigan against Iowa. Can Harbaugh hold up? Can his dream continue to thrive? He got past Ohio State, something he's never done all the years he's been at Michigan, and now he's in a prime seat, second in the nation at this part of the season. Will it all come crashing down? We'll see if Harbaugh can win the big one. So let's get back to the next game here. We got my boy Lorenz coming, and this is the ACC championship game against we have Pittsburgh going against Wake Forest, 8 p.m. ABC. This is going to be down in Charlotte. Pitt is a 3.5-point favorite. This is kind of the ho-hum game. I'm not that intrigued, even though I'm an ACC guy. I'm not that excited about this game. I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's I don't know. Lorenz, help me out, man. I'm not into it.
It's been a down year for the ACC, right? No question about it. Clemson having a slow start, really playing themselves out of contention there. Boston College was the team that we expected a lot from. Phil Jurkovec went down. Florida State, they haven't really taken the step. But these two teams have really stepped up their game. I would not have expected Wake Forest to be up here in this situation position. Their offense has been outstanding this season. Defense, not so much. Really, no defense on the field if you watch this team. But their offense is going to put plenty of points on the board. They're explosive, and then Pitt, they've been building this for a while, for a decade now, I think, since they entered the ACC. Coach Pat Narduzzi there has always been keen on having a good defense, and they have had good defense. But this year, it has really all come together. In the 5th year of Kenny Pickett being there as the quarterback, started significant time as a freshman, so he was around for a long time. Finally clicked, finally got some weapons, finally got some protection, and he's playing like a Heisman candidate at least. Not saying he should win it, not saying he's a favorite, but he is in that conversation at least with the way he's playing. Kenny Two Gloves, he's had a really good season. I think his pocket management, quick decision-making, accuracy stands out. I think he's got a decent arm. A lot of traits that NFL teams are going to like in a down-year quarterback. I don't think Sam Hartman has that much awareness and arm strength that really makes him an NFL, highly touted NFL kind of prospect, but he's still, like I said, running this Wake Forest offense very well. Jaquarie Roberson is his best receiver. He's really a stick mover, possession kind of guy who's got some ability after the catch. You know, he's got some balance. He's got some strength there too to break some tackles. I do think at the end of the day, this Wake defense is really poor, and this Pitt defense is actually pretty solid. They got some playmakers, and I think at the end of the day, that's going to make the difference, because I do think Wake, they have the slight advantage with their offense, but I think Pitt, they're going to be able to hang on offense. They're going to be able to put up as much points that at some point this Pitt defense is going to get a couple of breaks because they're just too good to get scored 50 on. So I think Pitt is going to end up winning this game at the end of the day. Someone else to look out for on this Pittsburgh offense, left tackle Carter Warren is someone who's taken a massive step this season, playing himself into potential early day 3, maybe even day 2 consideration. I've heard he's someone who NFL teams might like on the interior as well. I've heard he's been training at center some. I don't know if I see that, but definitely at tackle guard. I don't think he's got any length concerns there. Maybe it's the foot speed, but I think that's average too. But Carter Warren next to Kenny Pickett, those are 2 guys that in this year's draft are going to be intriguing names. Then the wide receiver we'll talk about next year, but he's a good player as well. But I am kind of excited about this. You know, we'll see some offense. At the end of the day, I do think this Wake Forest defense is just that bad that's going to prohibit them from winning this game.
Yeah, just doesn't me, but I'll watch it anyway. But we'll see how it all shakes out. Alec, you want to add something to this game?
Yeah,
I'm killing it right now.
Yeah, I love having our residential Pitt guy, Lorenz, who lived there for a year, I believe, right, Lorenz? Talking about
I'm an honorary Pitt guy for sure.
Honorary Pitt guy. No, I just think this is an important showing for Kenny Pickett. I think the teams, again, in the scouting process, you like to look at, there's going to be more games watched than Kenny Pickett just because he's a quarterback. But usually, like your rule of thumb, if you're only watching 3 games, is a game where they should dominate, a game where they should be average, and a game where it's a tough matchup. At least that's how I do it. And then if you still don't have your answer, you go to more games. But Pickett, this is a game where I do think that even though Wake Forest is ranked as highly as they are, the defensive secondary has some holes. This is a game where he should be able to put up some serious stats. So it's important for him. That being said, playoff-wise, it means nothing. But, again, these teams are probably fighting for a pretty heavy bowl game.
Yeah, for a New Year's Six bowl game. And, we'll shakes out as well. Anything you want to add to this sorry game, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably fighting for an Orange Bowl bid, which is pretty big for either school, especially considering we didn't think either school would be there. One of my friends was in Pittsburgh. They actually sent me this. This is the UPMC building. This is like their equivalent to the Empire State Building in Pittsburgh.
Is that Kenny Pickett's number? I can't really see.
It says like
Uh-oh.
Cut out.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, Hunter giving us a little a nugget there. That's what he does. But I'm just not excited.
Says Kenny Pickett for Heisman on the UPMC building.
No, not after 6 years, buddy. I don't think so.
5.
Yeah, I just don't. He's good and steady. I think because the team is good, but I don't know if he's Heisman worthy. You can mention him, but is there a better? To me, is there a better Heisman?
I'm with you. He's in the conversation, but he's not a favorite.
Right. Yeah, he's not him that truly makes me feel like, oh my God, this guy's electric. Your Heisman guy, all these Heisman winners, especially quarterbacks, they're electric, man. They do ridiculous things. You think Lamar Jackson in college, Baker Mayfield in college. These guys were electric. First pick, first round pick. Is Kenny Pickett a first round pick?
He might be, but I don't have him graded as a first rounder.
But does he grade?
I'm not gonna have first.
Does he? Let me rephrase that.
No,
thank you. There you go.
No, he's not graded as a first round pick. But
not for me.
Yeah.
I can't speak to his NFL. For me, he won't. But looking pretty likely like he's gonna be at this moment. Might be the first quarterback off the board. Just not a good class. I mean, I disagree with it. I'm with you, Big Law. I think he's a day 2 kind of guy. Yeah. Nah, I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. I just feel like, it's a think about a little bit last year, or talked about it last week about last year. Last year we had like Ivy League quarterbacks, top tier elite. Then you got like the second tier. This second tier is flooded with a whole bunch of quarterbacks like a Kenny Pickett, like a Ritter, like, these guys who are, almost like backups, and these guys are going to be starter just because the team is a necessity at the position. But it's not like we're thinking, oh man, these guys are franchise changing. I don't see any of the quarterbacks coming out being franchise changing guys. And then you think about the, the third tier, then there's third tier guys this year. I just think that it's a super subpar year. And none of these quarterbacks coming out really excite me. I mean, they're good, they're steady, but do they deserve to be, top 10, top 15 pick? Probably not. But
the interesting
teams are
talk about quarterbacks is a lot of them are choosing to transfer or stay in school for another year here, where we thought this was actually, it's still going to be a deeper class, but we thought this was going to be like a ridiculously deep class where we're talking about some of these guys having to fall to late day 3 just because of their how many players we have. But a lot of them, Spencer Rattler decides to transfer, Jake Haener decides to transfer. The transfer portal is going to be huge with these quarterbacks, and that because they're transferring, it means they're staying in school. So a lot of the depth that we were talking about with this quarterback class is staying, but I don't think it affects the overwhelmingness of this class. Like there's still no top tier guys.
Well, think about it like this. We're just saying, you just name Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler was supposed to be the number 1 pick. He was supposed to be the guy this year. This was his year. He doesn't even have a job. He's leaving.
Right.
So that just tells you how weak of a quarterback class this is. I'm just saying. Anything you want to add to that, Lorenz? I'm just maybe I'm just
you're right,
in a mood right now.
Nah, you're right. I mean, I've been kind of called out on, man. You just hate all quarterbacks. Like, no, I just don't see it with anyone that I've watched so far in this class where I'm willing to give the go ahead if I was making a call. And I obviously don't have access to talking to these guys, but the first thing that's gotta work out is the film, right? That's
right.
That's the first thing that's gotta check out, and it doesn't for any of these guys. For me.
Right, that's right, and but we'll see. It's always changed by the end of or at the end of the combine, and by the time the draft comes around, 4 guys picked in the top 10, and and we'll see how it all shakes out. When that is all said and done. So what's your scouting matchup of the week?
Oh, you cut out, Big Law.
But
That's
thought we were doing top fives, top fours.
You're
College football
scouting
playoff
matchup.
predictions.
If we all just want to give our top four here, let's see. I'll go first here with the top four. I'm thinking it's going to be Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State. That's my prediction for the top four.
All right. What's yours, Hunter?
Right.
So mine's gonna be a little bold, but I'm going Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, Alabama.
All right. And what about you,
Okay.
Lorenz?
I'm going Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati. But hear me out. I think Baylor is going to beat Oklahoma State by 10 points today. And Notre Dame, probably normally they will put him, but Notre Dame have lost their head coach. Alabama's going to lose by 10 to Georgia. They can't put them in at number 4 and just give us that rematch again. So I think Baylor with Dave Aranda make the 4 seed by default, winning the Big 12 championship, 2-loss team.
You think they jump Ohio State?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean Ohio State lost to Michigan, so they're a 2-loss team there. I mean, you're Ohio State's not a conference champion. You know, Baylor, they then got the matchup. They're the Big 12 conference champion. I don't think they're stronger than any of these teams. But for these factors I named, you then can't put Michigan. Sorry, you can't put Alabama in to give them a rematch unless you're putting Alabama at 3, which I think that's unfair. You can't put Notre Dame in because they lost their head coach. You can't put Ohio State in, a 2-loss Ohio State as a non-conference champion over a conference champion. So I think Baylor, if they do win this convincingly, are going to be in at number 4. That's my bold prediction.
That's your bold possession. All right. Well, I can tell you this, guys. We're going to wrap this up. We're already in overtime. So we got our playoff predictions. If you guys got a matchup, we can throw it quick if you like. You got 10 seconds. Polito, go ahead and throw it out there, Rick. Scouting matchup.
I mean, Trayvon Walker against Evan Neal will be a fun one to watch if we get a lot of that today. That's Georgia,
right.
Alabama.
Hunter Pitcoff, what we got?
Yeah, I think the game to watch is just how Bryce Young responds to this Georgia defense. It's going to be a huge task, and he's going to have maybe one of those like Deshaun Watson-esque performances he had at Clemson against Bama. If Bryce Young is capable of that, who knows how the game could go.
That's a great point. I think in Trevor Lawrence's freshman year, kind of the same thing. Now talk to me, Lorenz. What about you?
Yeah, I'm looking at Kellen Garanstein, quarterback for Ohio State, facing off against this Mason Patriots team. Number 1 versus number 2 in the country. Played at, I think it's 1 p.m. in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, which is actually my neck of the woods. Go Kellen, go get that second national championship in your career. Ring season, baby. Go Ohio State club football.
That's right. That's our guy. That's quarterback team, Mr. Kellen Garanstein himself. Good luck. But that, guys, for the show, all you viewers and listeners, we love you guys, everybody in the chat. We can't do this without you, we're just practicing. So thank you. This is championship week. Go out there, watch some games less than an hour before the first kickoff. So thank you, viewers, for hanging out with us. Go watch some football. Enjoy your football Saturday. We will be back next week for the Bowl Championship Series. Bowl Championship.